Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Today, Jamie's here again. We're going to be setting up his, similar to like a 45p kind of size of tank. I think it's 30 deep instead of, I think the 45p is something like 27, 28 centimeters deep. So it's a wee bit bigger, but on top what we have here, what light do we have?
So we've got a twin star version 2 450cc.
And this tank is an opti-white tank, isn't it?
Yeah, opti-white, low iron, from Green Aqua.
So basically, just to start off, we're going to be pouring the soil in the tank and trying to get it steep at the background. We're going to actually have some sand in this tank. So we'll leave some area, like basically bare for the sand. We'll start off by adding a wee bit of soil, and then we will add the hardscape. And then we might add a bit more soil after that.
So here we're adding the soil. We're just going to add a small amount at the back to start with, and then go in and add the hardscape before we top off the back with some more soil.
So we've added the soil in, and next obviously we're going to add some hardscape. But here you can see we've got this open area here, and we've got some soil at the front. We're going to be adding, planting the front here with the carpet, and then we're going to fade it into some sand. So that'll look quite nice, and then the triangular shaped hardscape is what we're going for, and that's going to come up from this top corner here down to bottom here, and hopefully it works out quite well. We decided to zip tie all the hardscape together, so the hardscape is actually all zip tied together. It's all one big piece. This piece right here is actually 3 pieces, but it's all sturdy now. It does float, so I think we're going to have to add a rock before we fill, obviously, at the end of it. I think you're going to be filling at your house though, so I don't think we're going to be filling in this video, but I will give you have to put a bigger rock on the top of it just so it doesn't float. I like to use zip ties instead of gluing things together because, well, first of all, it's much more sturdy than gluing things together. Glue can break, but also it doesn't leave a mark, which is really nice. Obviously you have these zip tie areas which you can cover with plants, so I'm not too worried about that.
Okay, so that's the hardscape added. I quite like how it's went in the tank. It's went in a lot better than it went in the dojo anyway.
Yeah, I think it looks nice. I think the triangular shaped layout is a bit better than it was in the dojo. I think we've got a bit of a higher substrate level, so I think that, yeah, I think it looks a bit better now because it's banked up at the back here, sloping down with the soil. I think it looks a lot nicer. So we're going to add a bit more soil to the background, I think, right?
Yeah, we're going to add some more in the back just to make it a bit deeper for planting.
Yeah. I think the plan to stop the soil coming through onto the sand area, we're going to add some gravel. So we've got some gravel here as well as a lot more to try and matching the rocks, and hopefully the gravel flowing into the sand is going to stop any sort of soil coming over. We might need to deal with like magnets eventually on the sand, but because the soil might go over, but we'll figure it out. But anyway, next is adding a bit more soil to the background, and then we are going to go to planting. After the planting, we'll obviously then add the sand and soil. I do find that it's easier to plant first, make the soil wet, and then add the sand and the gravel obviously as well. So we've added all the soil in, the hardscape's done, and you happy with it?
Yeah, it looks really good.
Good stuff. We actually added a wee bit of the Tropica powder soil at the front, just for adds a bit more scale to such a small tank really. So the plants we're going to go quickly over it. We did talk about it in the last video, but so we've got some Hydrocotyle Trapertita, we've got some Cryptocarina undulatus red, we've got some hairgrass Electrodes, and we've also got some Hydrocotyle Trapertita. We've got some other plants down over the front here. You can't see them, they're all over here. So yeah, let's just get started planting, and yeah, ready?
Go for it.
Go for it. The first plant we're going to be using is hairgrass, Electrodes mini, and when you're trying to remove it from the pot, these are in vitro pots. You'll have the pot here, so you simply just pull the little lid off of it and you squeeze the liquid out. You can then wash it if you need to afterwards to reduce the amount of, bringing the liquid into the tank once it's planted. And that's always a good idea. If you can see around here, we have a perimeter of plants, like runners, going around the outside of the pot. And this is the new plants that have grown in the pot. The center here is actually the plant they've planted in the pot at the start when they were actually growing the in vitro pots in the lab. So what I like to do here is pull the perimeter runners around off first, and then I like to pull the center out itself. And once you do this, it's quite easy. The center can be split up into a few pieces, and the perimeter can be neatly picked off into little planting portions. When we're planting, it's good to start from one side and then one at the other side, and then half every single time you plant. So if you plant one plant at the left side, then you go for the right side, then you go plant one in the center, and then you half it each time you plant, like so, and you can see in the video right here. Next plant here is AR Mini, and it's a low growing stem plant. It's best for mid-ground, but it's very, very vibrant red, and we're using it here in a few locations, and I think it's going to look nice and bushy once it grows in.
The crypt that we planted is Cryptocoryne undulatus red, and we've used it in 2 different locations. We've used it just behind the AR Mini near the dwarf hairgrass carpet, and then also just at the back behind the hardscape. We're using the Cryptocoryne to hold back the soil and use it as well as a retaining wall.
At the back left, we planted some green Rotala. It's probably a mix of different Rotalas, but hopefully achieving a green vibrant colour. And then we're going to go into a bit more of a red transition. So we've done some Ludwigia stellatus, and this creates a sort of transition between the green plants into the next plant, which is Ludwigia Super Red Mini. And that's a really, really red vibrant plant, and it can even grow red under non-CO2 and low light conditions, which is really, really nice. Although we are using it's a low light, but it's strong enough for it to get plants a wee bit red, and we will be adding CO2 into this tank as well.
We also planted a few sparse stems of Rotala wallachii, only a couple just to kind of accent off the Ludwigia.
We've planted the soil areas. Next we're going to move on to planting the hardscape areas. So we're going to use the things like the Hydrocotyle Trapertita, the Trapertita, and a few other things if we find some. We might add some moss or some Riccardia or something like this to the hardscape to hide a few things like the zip ties. But overall, we're almost there. The next plant was the ferns. We added 2 different types of ferns that are mixed in together. One was the narrow leaf version of the Micranthium, and the other Micranthium we added was a trident fern.
Next thing we planted was the Hydrocotyle Trapertita. So we planted it in between the hardscape and in between the ferns, hopefully to achieve like the rhizomes growing along the hardscape, filling in quite nicely, hopefully. And yeah, it was just kind of tucked in little cracks, crevices, just anywhere that it would maybe bush out and grow along the hardscape.
I think it's going to look really good, yeah. It's a good plant to add.
Especially as you said before, if it goes kind of wild.
Yeah.
You know, it'll still look...
It's going to look great. You need to trim it. Yeah, it's a plant you need to keep trimming and keep on top of, but it really does create a nice contrast to other plants in the hardscape area. We also added a Hydrocotyle Trapertita in some certain areas, and this one is a very, very fast grower, so it will have to be maintained quite frequently. But I think it's going to look great. It's going to create a nice vibrant light green, and it's a bit of a contrast to the dark greens of the ferns and other plants. So it's a really nice one. It's a really nice touch to add to here. The next plant we added here was Mcranthium Monte Carlo, now been renamed to Tweedy Eye. We've added it in certain locations, and I think it'll be really, really nice. It'll kind of droop over the hardscape areas. So we definitely just used it as an epiphyte plant, although it can be planted as a carpet as well. We've added some Riccardia here. It's a liverwort, although it's also marketed as a moss sometimes, although it is a liverwort. We've added it into places that it naturally falls, but we did glue it in certain areas. We did glue it to the zip ties just to hide them a bit, and I think this is a nice little technique, adding some moss to certain areas you want to hide. But other than that, we just kind of like pushed it into gaps and little crevices so that it looks a bit more natural.
Okay, so now the tank's planted, basically what we're going to do now is we're going to use some gravel as a retaining wall to stop the soil from falling forward, and then finish it off with some more decorative sand just down the front.
The gravel is a great idea because then it holds back this bank of soil. It's a bit of an odd layout where it has like half sand and half soil up front, but it does work if you manage to find a way to keep the soil to its own side, I suppose.
It's a bit different to a normal kind of triangular where it's actually got like a partial carpet at the front.
That's right. You could either go carpet the full way, or you could do sand the full way, but this is kind of an interesting halfway house. But it's going to look good. I'm really happy with your how you've planted it and how the ferns have been put in and the plants have been put in. We did go for Riccardia around the hardscape here, and I think where we've placed it, it looks really good.
So the tank's now fully planted. We've added the sand and everything inside's pretty much done. Everything's been sprayed down, so we're pretty much done, I think, unless you've got anything else you add in the background.
Yeah, I think we're going to add a background to this. So I've got a, have you ever heard of a Foggy film background? Well, we have something similar to this, but it's actually a white out background. So it's a solid white color, and it adds a bit of like a background light, but instead it's just like a sticker, basically similar to the Foggy film, as I said. So we're going to be adding that one, and then we're done. I'm going to cover this in cling film, some plastic wrap, and we're going to spray it before we do so that when Jamie takes it back home to his, the plants are okay and they're nice and they're not drying out, basically. He's going to go fill it up at his house, and he's going to add the filter, the CO2, and yeah, so hopefully it grows in nice. He's going to be doing daily water changes due to the ADA method. We're going to be doing 1/3 water changes every day in the first week, every second day in the second week, 3 times in the third week, no sorry, 2 times every third day in the third week, so that's 2 times in the third week, and then from there on it's just once a week. You can do more water changes than this if needed. If there's any algae occurs, you can do more than 1/3, but that's the general guidelines of what he's going to go for. So that's the background added, the tankscape, everything's in, it's planted. I think we're both very, very happy with it. It's turned out really nice. The triangular shaped layout, we love it. Lots of plants, densely planted tank, so we shouldn't have any problems with it maturing. We did add the background. It's like a white film sticker, but it looks really nice. Kind of gives you that light ground effect, the ADA light screen kind of thing, but for a fraction of the price, a couple pounds if that. But it looks really nice. You're going to take it home, you're going to fill it. We're going to spray it one more time, and then we're going to put cling film over it, and he's going to take it home and then fill it himself and set up the filter and the CO2, etc. But what do you like it? What do you think of it?
I think it looks really good. It's more than what I thought it would be. For a quote-unquote quick escape.
I think we've been at this for...
Too many hours.
Yeah, what time is it? I think the time is... So it's 4:30 right now. I think we've been at this probably for about 5 hours now. If not more.
If not more.
Yeah. It's been a long day, but we've got it done. And I think we're both happy with how it's turned out. So guys, if you've enjoyed the video, leave a comment below, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to link Jamie's Instagram page in the future. If you want to see any updates of this, it's going to be on Jamie's page on Instagram, and I will probably share some of the posts he does on my stories on Instagram. But hopefully one day we can maybe see Jamie take a future picture of this and see how it's grown in with the stems at the back and a nice triangular shaped layout. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and comment below if you can, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.